Welcome back to the MetaMinds podcast, where we are all about relentless self-development and consciousness optimization.
On today's episode, we will be telling you why you need a personal brand. We'll be talking about a few different topics. So the first thing is, what is a personal brand? We also will talk about why it's important to have a personal brand. We'll then go into how to start a personal brand and give you some examples. We'll then talk about the ideal personal brand, what you're maybe aiming for, and then we'll talk about our experiences with personal brands.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's start off with, what is a personal brand?
And why is it important? Welcome, Lucy. Thank you very much. So yeah, just for those watching, we are live on Castbox right now, so we may have a couple of comments from guests, in which case you'll get to experience a little element of that liveness. So yeah, what is a personal brand? Now, I think this is extremely important, especially in this day and age, because you have a lot of people like Gary Vee and like all these entrepreneurs and things like that, and they're representing and like killing this personal brand like in a positive way.
Yeah.
But none of them really explain what it is, and it's taken me a couple of years to actually figure out exactly like what a personal brand is and why it's necessary. Whereas a lot of these big entrepreneurs, they're just repping it and they don't tell you exactly what it is. They just say work and stuff like that. Pretty much every episode we bag out Gary Vee and how he says work. Look, it's a positive thing. It really is.
Yeah.
Wow, we have quite a few people on the live stream, which is awesome. Welcome, guys. Hello, if you have questions or anything, please jump in and let us know. So we're talking about personal branding right now. So yeah, personal brand, it's essentially who you are, but on the internet and across all different platforms. And yeah, it's really important because obviously in this day and age, everything is moving more towards the element of, what did I say earlier? What was it?
Freelance.
Yeah, we're in the freelance age basically, and it's already happening. Pretty much everyone, knows freelancers. You can either hire a big film production company, or you can hire your friend that that is a professional filmmaker. And the rates are going to be different, the experience is going to be different, but basically we're moving much more into this personal brand era, and it's going to continue to be that way, that if you have a profession, then you can just hire all the freelancers that as opposed to going to a larger corporation, and the trust and the like will be there because you see all their movements on social media and you see their personal brand and you interact with their personal brand on a first name basis more often. And if you don't know them and you're hiring a freelancer to start with, then you can view all their ratings and their pricings, and it's much more transparent, and you don't have to even think about this large company, so everything's moving towards personal branding. So if you don't have one yet and you don't know what your passion is, then it's extremely important to at least consider and understand what it is. Do you have anything else to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, you did a really good job there. I guess a personal brand is slightly different in my eyes to a corporation, right? So corporations will post promotional content about something that's happening within their business, or they'll talk about how their new car's coming out, and it will be a very it won't be as personal. And that's how I feel a lot of these corporations are. That it doesn't feel personal. It feels like a corporation, where a personal brand is, like you said, you put your personality into your passion. So if your passion is, cupcakes or film or whatever it is, you can add your own personal touch to that, and like you said, create rapport within the community and within your audience even. For what you do specifically, and then at that point you'd be known for that thing because you've created this perception of you as this likable person or whatever you are that can be approached a lot more easily, in my opinion, than a big corporation. So then at that point, as time goes on, I feel more people would then look, like you said, for freelancers or personal brands over corporations, because you have a lot more transparency with what that personal brand is and what they stand for, and who they are as a person, not the CEO, but who that one person is creating this thing.
Yeah. And when you're working with larger corporations, you're working with 10 people down, and the message that's from the top or whatever is so diluted by the time it gets to that person. You see the branding on TV or whatever, which is so outdated now, or on the internet, and then you go in and have an experience, and because that person doesn't actually have the same messages from the top, because this organization is so large, then the experience is entirely different to what you it's not congruent with what you actually see online.
Definitely.
Which is why I know, again, personal brand, it's so intimate that if you are Dan Davis from Eye in the Sky Clothing, we know who you are, we know your name, we know why you're doing it, we can see that you're passionate and all this kind of stuff, and then we can talk to you directly if we want to as well.
Exactly,
you're much more accessible.
Yeah.
And so there's no need to actually scale it to this huge, ridiculous, when people get into entrepreneurship, my original perception of it was it's like, oh yeah, well, you're going to have this $1 billion corporation in 20 years, in 30, 50 years, whatever it is. But actually you can have a very successful personal brand at the scale of, you're earning 100K or whatever per year, or enough to keep you alive, which can be very, very minimal depending on how you live your life.
Yep.
And, be full of passion and love for your life and have this personal brand, which is just you, and you don't even need to scale with then more than just yourself, unless you're on holidays or something like that,
Yeah. And the other benefit of that is that it is your brand. So you have full control over how you want to be displayed online. People don't dictate what you have to do.
Yep.
There's no corporate levels to it. So in terms of, even if you don't want to scale it to make money out of it, but just have a project or something fun to really express yourself, then you have full control over that, which again is quite liberating, I guess, or freeing for people.
But there's also a lot of negatives that come along with that, in that there's a lot more work in it involved for yourself. So I think that's basically dives into our next point, which is, why is personal branding important? And there's, we just touched on quite a couple of them. The age is moving towards that freelancer age where, we're going to see corporations slowly dying off over time, and this more review-based servicing, basically, and trusting people through that. But basically, and the reason it's important, especially having a digital personal brand, we use the analogy prior to the podcast that we all have a mechanic across the road that's a family friend or something that's been fixing cars for ages, and perhaps he already works in a mechanic shop, but then he just does it on the side for a bit of cash in hand kind of thing. But he gets enough of it, or even he does it full time by himself, he gets enough of it that, it helps him build a second layer of his house or whatever. And that's his personal brand. It just so happens that it's not digitized yet, because it's the older version of a personal brand before it was even known as a personal brand.
Exactly right. But he still is a personal brand, like you said, even without the internet, because it is a personal endeavor that he's doing on his own.
And so it just so happens that we've moved into this era where everything is digitized now, and specifically millennials, which is obviously who this podcast is for. We understand the internet, and we can grasp all of these concepts, and we understand social media and how to manipulate it as such. And this is why personal branding online is super important, because now, when you want to find a new pizza restaurant, you go to Google and you type pizza, and it goes, pizza restaurants near me. Yep. That's the very first search result all the time. And that's what you're going to do, mechanics near me. And it will pop up with a Google location, and it's going to be your neighbor across the road or whatever it is. And then you can go on his Instagram, see him hang out with his dog, see him fixing cars, get a bit of an idea of his personality. Hopefully he's got a bit of a following by that point. Him fixing up cars, like little deals that he's got going on. It doesn't even have to be ridiculously high quality content, but he's got a personal brand there, whether he knows it or not. Well, I guess the analogy that I'm saying is like more like millennials now, depending on what they're doing, whether there's an online business or whatever it is, they're more savvy to this stuff. So there is more often than not already, you go to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you see a list of these personal brands, And so if you see a video of a person talking about how much they love cupcakes, let's go with this cupcake analogy because I love it so much, and whether they have a YouTube channel or it's just videos on Facebook, and you get to see that person and their passion for what they're doing and creating cupcakes for weddings or whatever it is, you're going to be like, I want to hire Melissa because she is fantastic, she's passionate about it, and her designs are amazing, and she's 2 streets away from me, you know what I mean? And all of her ratings are 10 stars or whatever it is, So it's extremely important if you're starting any kind of business, and even if you're not. This is partly why, part of our next point. But on this point, do you have any other reasons why starting a personal brand is important?
Why it's important? Yeah. I guess it's the whole concept, like you said, of just creating something that is personal to you. So even if you don't want to scale it to a business, and even if you don't have that business mindset, just being able to create a personal brand of what you do in your day-to-day, just documenting everything, as Gary Vee is all about documenting everything. And in my eyes, like, there's definitely a limit to how much you should document. There's certain things that you maybe
don't document yourself in the shower.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Unless that's your personal brand.
Yeah, shower reviews. There you go. And you can scale that,
Most likely.
But yeah, I guess it's just that whole concept of creating something that you can use as a vehicle. Even if you don't have your full vision later on, like with even our businesses now, we may have a vision for where we think we're going to go, but they will change. I'm sure of it. And there will be different movements within our own opinions of what our personal brand is. So it is something that can change. It's fluid. You're not working in a corporate environment where where you're set to that name or set to all these procedures and protocols, you can create just your own name or just have a username, and then from there it can change. But I guess the whole idea is just being comfortable with presenting your authentic self online. Or if you don't want to be authentic, then create a personality, if that makes you more comfortable.
Yeah, which again, your personality could be dressing up as a cat and reviewing toys, or
that's exactly
whatever
right,
it is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your authentic self, but it can be you diving into this acting thing where you get to be this like personality and have fun. It doesn't have to be, it can still align with your values and be genuine, but like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be this fake thing that you put on. Like, it can still be you having fun, but you don't have to be exactly who you are, kind of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
But more often than not, the more authentic the personal brand, the more successful it's going to be, because you are being yourself and you know who you are.
And being transparent with your audience, for sure.
So we have already kind of dived into how to start a personal brand there, because, like a lot of people think, and myself thought this for a very long time as well, that if you have a personal brand, that means you're just trying to start a business. That means you're trying to make capital. It's all about the business side of things, basically. But yeah, as we said, with Melissa, the cupcake queen, or whatever this brand is that we're making up, it's going to be funny. We should Google this afterwards and perhaps find someone called that. Right? By the way, we featured you on our podcast accidentally.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, she could just love making not podcasts, cupcakes.
She could join our podcast, Melissa, if you're out there.
But she could just love creating cupcakes, right?
For sure.
And it doesn't have to be for money. She could just love them and then love eating them or giving them to friends or bringing them to work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Melissa should, if she doesn't have one already, just start posting about her cupcakes on Instagram or Facebook. There's hundreds of different platforms out there, and we're all for trying new platforms, more often than not you than myself.
More often than not.
But you should choose at least a couple of them, and obviously finding out which ones suit your niche, that's going to be a whole thing in itself. But let's say it's Instagram, for example, which for cupcakes I would say is very appropriate.
That would be the move,
And, maybe even a podcast, like how you got into it, who knows, true. Right? There's just different forms of media that you're spreading across, and this is how personal branding can be so effective, that she should just start posting photos of it. And even if it's just from her iPhone, because the camera quality on iPhones is so ridiculous now.
It's fine,
put it under your kitchen light and take a photo of your cupcakes in every different design, basically. And, even if you're not confident, you hate your cupcakes, you think that they don't look great, you're not confident in them at all, and this can be hard to put yourself out there. But if you just do it, even if you're posting once a week, within the 3 years, you've posted 150 posts of different cupcakes that you didn't have before. And if you're using a couple of different hashtags like cupcake, or I don't know what the hashtags would be to optimize in the cupcake niche, but it wouldn't be hard to figure that out.
No.
Then all of a sudden you get an email from a large corporation saying, we want to feature you, or different wedding companies saying, hey, we want, you know what I mean? Like opportunities just fall into place when you have this personal brand and you're consistent with it and you're releasing with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much every person I talk to, just sidebar, I'm always like, like whenever they talk about what they're passionate about, I'm like, where's your Instagram on that thing? You could start a YouTube channel. Like, why aren't you recording me? And some people they think it's a bit intense. Like, whoa, man, you need to chill out a bit. I'm like, hey, man, you know how important personal branding is? Like, you know how important just putting content out there is? Like,
that's it.
My mom makes protein balls, and I'm like, Mom, you should start a protein ball shop. Like, where's your Instagram? Why isn't it popping? Like, when's your YouTube channel? She'll probably listen to this and have a good old laugh.
And she'll start it, maybe.
And then maybe she'll maybe.
So. I expect you to at this point. But no, I 100% agree with that. And I think you did cover a lot of it there, but I kind of want to point out the fact that a lot of people will say, just do as much as you can, upload as much as you can, do all this. But the reality is taking that first step can be the hardest sometimes. And like you mentioned, when you tell people to start things, they've got some sort of limiting belief or some sort of block where they don't want to for whatever reason, because they're worried or they don't think it's appropriate or whatever it is.
They don't know what the steps are to take.
That's exactly right.
Totally okay.
Yeah. So like you said, that start with manageable goals, achievable goals that you can do. So whether that's posting a picture every week, or going live once a week, or whatever it is, like you slowly build up to that. But it's the whole idea of getting that content out there and just getting used to the process, because at the end of the day, your first post is going to be completely different to your 30th post, and we can vouch for that with Meta Minds.
Our first episode
compared to that, because the lights are so close, and we've learnt, we've improved. But if we stopped with the first episode and said, well, it's not good enough, like we can't post this, then where would we be now?
Yeah.
You know, so it really is that whole idea of like building up your confidence to be able to do that. And I think for a lot of people out there, it is trying to discover or recognize what that one thing is that you're really interested in. So like you said, the cupcake, she may not see it as something big, but, you know, she makes people in her community or in her immediate circle happy, her friends, her family. So that can then scale. Or if you enjoy watching movies, for example, you know, you could start off writing reviews on Twitter. That could be your first point. Very short character limit, but you could write concise reviews.
Well, that could be, I think, 10-word reviews.
That's exactly right, yeah. So,
we're just giving away ideas here, guys.
Damn, copyright. But yeah, so I think it really is just that. It's the hardest thing, but at the same time, it's the first step. You have to start. You know, you have to start somewhere, and don't be worried about what people are going to say or what critique you're going to get, because everyone is going to be, you know, everyone's got an opinion at the end of the day. You can't please everyone. So
well, that's it, and you have to be doing it for yourself.
You have to be doing it for yourself.
It's hard to put it out there when you have other potential judgments coming in.
For sure. So that's why I say do that passion. The thing you love.
But the other thing that I really want to say on this, which I think is very important in how to start a personal brand, is that some people don't know what their niche is. It's like, I guess I like playing video games and going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like the huge thing is just actually start posting about things that you are passionate about. Even if you don't know what your potential personal brand will be. Again, we can vouch for this as well, and we'll talk about this in our experience part. We've had 10, 15 personal brands between us, right? And none of them, we had any idea where they were going to end up, how they were going to start, what they were going to look like. And here we are on MetaMinds, which is another personal brand. And, you know, you can Google us and you'll find all these different ones that we've got, and you'll be like, what? They were doing this and then this, you know? And, you know, we changed them or transitioned some of them into different things, and they evolved and morphed like as we learnt, you know what I mean? So if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know what you want to start, but you agree that maybe starting a personal brand could be helpful for you in 20 years, even if you start it now, start posting about what you're passionate about. Start looking at, engaging with communities about all these different things. Get a small little logo, it's fun as well.
It is fun.
It's creative and it's fun,
It is.
It's a way to express yourself, which is awesome. And, eventually it could take 1 month, it could take 1 week, it could take 5 years, but you'll find that thing and you'll click it into place and you'll go, this is the thing that I need to be actually posting about.
Definitely.
And it's because you started on that grind however long ago, that you've actually found that personal brand. You know what I mean? It's fallen into place for you. So I think that's huge, because that's something that I found as well. I was too nervous or too scared to put myself out there because I didn't know what I was posting about. So I'm like, there's no point. But relentless action and relentless self-development, as what we're all about here, is much better than stagnantly sitting and thinking. You take action, you learn from your mistakes, and you move forward and get better from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, for sure. Should we move on to the next point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how to start a personal brand? We've gone through that.
No, that was that one, yeah.
So now it is the ideal personal brand. So after you've taken that step, you've started moving a little bit.
Yep.
What is the ideal personal brand?
Yeah, so look, let's say you've been doing it for a little bit. Maybe you've figured out kind of what you want to be doing. You like baking, but you figured out that your name's Melissa and that you actually do want to make cupcakes, right? So cupcakes is your niche, and you've kind of figured out the best hashtags, and you're posting relatively consistently, and you're maybe expanding to a different platform. You've started a YouTube channel because you've gained the confidence to actually put yourself on camera. The next steps, we want to talk about what the ideal personal brand is, because again, it's manipulated in the whole Gary Vee and this crazy tech entrepreneurial people to be like, you need to be releasing 5,000 pieces of content every 15 minutes. And if you're not, then you're trash. And you need to be working 500 hours a day, even though there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And it's all good and well for people like us that can see where they're coming from and you need to work and stuff. But a lot of them don't actually put the message in.
It's not a realistic
It's not realistic at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, to have an ideal brand, obviously, there is different constraints like time restraints. A lot of different restraints basically around that. But once you've got a good foundation, you need to actually figure out what platforms obviously are optimized for your brand. So if it's cupcaking, YouTube, Instagram, let's say, and then, start dabbling in different other ones. TikTok, for example, could potentially be absolutely fine. Huge, and that could get you millions and millions of views in one post, in your very first post.
Or you could do a live stream one day of you preparing it, and then a live stream of you, cooking or baking everything. Yeah.
And a lot of what we hear about is repurposing different content. So if you take a photo of your cupcake and you post that on Instagram, and you have a little caption to it, maybe you need to take that caption and expand it a little bit and make a blog post out of that, or make a YouTube video out of that to actually, detail in more how you went to that process.
Yeah.
But what else in terms of the ideal?
Yeah, another thing, which again is a Gary Vee thing, but it's the idea of like, what are your main pillars of content? So you alluded to that before with the Instagram and the YouTube. So when you think about your brand, whatever that may be, the mechanic, the cupcake, the game reviewer, the movie reviewer, whatever it is that you're interested in, you need to figure out, and this is through trial and error, which platform, which pillar of content is most appropriate for what you're actually posting. So if it's a text-based thing, you could even, like, a lot of the time you can adapt it to different platforms, but you want to put your energy, obviously, if it's a time-constrained thing, if you've got work, if you've got a family, a personal brand, and the ideal personal brand will be a case-by-case situation. An ideal, which you're getting to with the whole, pushing as much content as you can out there is not realistic, because everyone has their own circumstances and different things going on. They might have multiple personal brands. So you need to figure out what works for you, what works for the audience, and what really gels with your content. And then from there, you can dabble into other platforms and try to maybe pull them into secondary pillars or pull them into primary pillars and move it around. And I guess one thing I really wanted to mention before is you just need to be prepared to adapt. Whatever you're going to focus on, even if you're so niched on a specific thing, you still need to be ready to evolve and adapt, because things do change, platforms change, algorithms change, everything changes. So you just need to be knowledgeable, I guess, or educated on what's happening.
Sometimes people like banana bread over cupcakes.
Well, there you go. And then you might change to Melissa's banana breads.
The other thing that I wanted to say on that is, it totally depends on what it is that you want.
Yes.
So you have to refine your goal. If you want to stay just making, have a full-time job and you just want to stay on Friday evenings making cupcakes, and that's the maximum scale that you want to get to. You have to understand what that is that you want, and obviously base your content around that and your time restrictions around that. So for example, if a big influencer reaches out to you with an opportunity for money or whatever it is, or if you're spending time reaching out to other people for potential branding opportunities and that kind of thing, that's another ideal thing that you need to be doing in your personal brand, is getting in contact with a lot of people, engaging with a lot of people in the community, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever, to actually scale it to just for your goal, essentially.
For sure,
yeah. And if your goal is to create a 1,000 person employee cupcake business, then these are the types of actions you need to be taking, right?
Definitely.
But if it is to just on Friday night bake and live stream it, then
that's a great goal.
Yeah, that's it. If that's fulfilling to you, then that's all you need. That's it.
And I guess that's the whole idea of setting your intentions. So you base it around your work schedule, base it around your family schedule and everything, and you set your intentions early on. And obviously your intentions can change, but like you said, if your intentions are to live stream every Friday night, that's a great goal. It's a great intention to set for yourself. And that's you creating your personal brand. That's you going from 0 to 1. You're moving. You're actually starting that personal brand. So
that's a little book reference there. Still have to listen to that book. So the other thing is, I forgot. It's gone now. It's
Beautiful.
Funny when you have a thought while the other person is talking.
We've got a few minutes.
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago. So I suppose we can dive into our experience with personal branding. And we mentioned it before in that both of us have dabbled and had several different personal brands, and the reason we're at the place that we're at and relatively confident in our current personal brands, and we've got a couple of them each, is because we had a lot of experience and a lot of failures and trials and errors and not doing things correctly for many, many years, basically.
For sure. And
until we've gotten to this point where we kind of have an idea of what the ideal grind looks like. We have an idea of what our goal is. We're reaching out to different people to actually get them on the podcast, have different marketing clients and things like this.
Definitely.
We have an idea of what our goals are. We have an idea of what our ideal personal brand is and the content platforms of what that of where we need to be posting, how often we need to be posting, and we've optimized for those different things. We're not killing it. You can always be better, basically.
Definitely, yeah. But satisfied with the experience. And one thing that really stood out to me when you were talking about that is this idea of us going through transitional phases. So when I started my first personal brand, which probably would have been maybe the iPod Touch world through high school, or even before that, Enthusiastic Gamers XP. That was actually the name of the YouTube channel. Both of them, I was 13 or 14. So in terms of my personal growth, that completely changed because I went through high school, I went through all those experiences, then got into studying. So my personal brand has changed because I've changed. So I don't
know about that, mate. You still
I'm still the same person. Yeah, I'm still a 13-year-old boy. But yeah, I guess like that's the idea. If this whole freelancer and this whole like influencer thing is becoming more prevalent and younger people are getting into it, people change, you know, and people develop through their years. So I guess it is that whole idea of being fluid with your brand and knowing that things will change. You may be massively into gaming and then feel that gaming's a waste of time when you're 19 and feel like it's going nowhere. So you might change from being a gaming presenter on YouTube to doing cupcakes or whatever you do. And that's okay. So I guess, for me personally, that's kind of where a lot of the changes have come from, my interests changing and from my understanding of, I guess, the internet and what I think I need to do. It's just changed through me changing.
And we might look back on this in 10 years' time and go, wow, I can't believe we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
But we will be, you know, have another 10 years of experience in personal branding and developing ourselves through these different means and putting content out there. Oh yeah, the other huge thing that we totally missed is that the like benefits of a personal brand.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Right, is that you get to grow and learn, and like
for sure, yeah.
You know, on these like we had 22 episodes of the podcast right now. We always like after the podcast like realize how much we've actually forgotten and a lot of important points. Anyway, I'm glad I remembered this one. But basically, the people that we've talked to on this podcast so far, and we're only like 25 episodes in. The amount of experiences we've had that we've learned and grown and we've had satisfaction and we've enjoyed ourselves, and we've had positive comments from people that have said that we've helped change their life and perception and outlook on life. Like that's extremely fulfilling. And we've only had a very small impact so far. So like, yeah, you might think that this is this overwhelming thing to post all your cupcakes, but you can actually make an extremely positive effect on other people. And you can grow and learn and connect with people you never even knew existed through these different mediums.
Definitely, yeah.
Like there's so many benefits to it that you don't even imagine can be a thing. You know, we didn't think that these would be the benefits of it, but then we get a message every week from someone that's saying, this specific point in this episode changed my life. And we go, what? But we never thought that this was going to happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess another point that I'm thinking is about the whole idea of niching in something. So if your interest is something extremely niche, so if you like to create miniature food, right? That's a niche in the world, or the miniature houses, or whatever your niche is.
Come on down a little bit.
That niche, right? It is in your world, you know, and you're doing that and you may be enjoying it, but you haven't taken that step to connect with the world. But when you do take that step, there's the possibility of you connecting with other people all around the world who have a similar interest. So in your little pocket in the suburbs, there may be no one around you that even gets what the whole concept is of miniature food.
Everyone questions what you're doing. Who are you? Why are you doing
exactly
that? That's
right. Because they don't get that.
Yeah.
But then if you put yourself out there, you'll find yourself connecting with people who do have similar interests. And that is probably one of the biggest things for like the Eye in the Sky brand and for this brand, like being able to genuinely connect with people who are interested in a similar thing. That, to me, is a massive change.
Well, yeah, so to get real meta for a second, it's like a lot of our interests, we base our sense of self off, right? I'm really into deep dubstep, which is a very specific, like, niche and interest, you know, and I base a lot of myself, my identity off that thing, right? And I have a lot of different things, and a lot of people do. And if you don't find people to connect with that are like that, then you feel like a social outcast. You feel like, who am I? What's going on? And, you know, I know a lot of people in real life now that I'm, you know, very fortunate to connect with people that are interested in that thing. But also I've connected with hundreds, if not thousands of people on the internet that are into that thing, that have not validated my sense of self-worth, but yes, validated in just in the fact that it's like, oh, right, this is an okay person to be, and this is something that other people are into, and I'm not this weirdo that when you tell someone that you start working for, oh, yes, I'm into this kind of thing, and they say, what?
Yeah.
Who are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go, maybe I am this weirdo or whatever it is, you know? I think that's really important because, you're right, being able to connect with people that are interested in the same thing as you, it makes you feel sane and you know, because you can't really help what you're interested in. You love cupcakes, miniature cupcakes, like no one else gets it, but then suddenly someone on Twitter in Africa says, hey, we really love this, then Yeah. All right, so let's finish it off. We just got a comment from one of our live viewers. Thank you, everyone, for viewing live on Castbox. Dan, would you like to read this for us?
Personal brand is how you carry yourself, how to be decent human being, and kindness. Forgiveness you should carry, and if anyone who deserves punishment, don't try to support them. Be authentic to yourself.
So, Amaresh Rout, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
I think that's really important in that, like, part of what he's saying there is that your personal brand isn't just this internet thing. Mm-hmm. When you go into the world and interact with different people, you're still being your personal brand, right?
100%, yeah.
So us on MetaMinds, we talk about all this deep stuff, and then we go out in the world and we like treat the person that gives us our coffee like crap. Then that doesn't
make sense. Exactly right.
Personal brand.
And
so
that's not authentic. So that's a massive
very
point.
important comment. Is that your personal brand isn't just the internet. It spans across real life, and you have to be congruent in all these different kind of areas. And again, as you said, you don't have to if you're starting a different kind of.
Yeah, that's another thing then.
But that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think we covered quite a bit. It was probably a little bit rushed. We should have maybe aimed for an hour, but we crushed
so. There was a lot in there,
minutes.
yeah.
So, but yeah, it was very good. Thank you for joining us on Castbox. If this is your first live stream with us, we'll be doing quite a lot more of these. If you're there, then check us out. MetaMinds on all other platforms.
Yep.
And if you're on any other platform, you can check it out. Check
us out on Castbox
or YouTube. It's all on video there, and you can see us laughing at ourselves for 30 minutes every week. So thank you. This has been Why You Need a Personal Brand, and we will see you next week on MetaMinds.
Thank you for tuning in.